What's up, guys? Mike aka Phony here. Welcome to Trials Evolution Tuesdays, aka Tits. And yes, this is Paperboy. Probably one of the best Paperboy renditions that I've seen, except for the fact that the camera's not fixed. But I'm sure there's probably some kind of obstacle or something. I'm deep down inside, I'm hoping that he was going for this Paperboy, right? That we all know and we love, and it's probably the best game ever made, right? Okay, rose tinted colored goggles, whatever, glasses, etc. And not this one, because this one makes me sad. It's probably the worst Paperboy remake ever. Like, there's iPhone remakes that are 10 billion times better than this one. This is Paperboy 64, the worst ever. And I have to admit, this kind of looks more like this than this. Does that make sense? So it kind of hurts me a little bit just to even think about it. But I'm pretty sure his intentions were he meant well. He wanted to go in there and make, inspired game, and he did good. He did fantastic. I have to be honest, the shit almost gave me nightmares. But seriously, that is a pretty awesome track, and honestly, that was probably my least favorite track of the entire week. There is so much good stuff that came out this past week. I don't know what happened. Is it the DLC dropped? Suddenly everybody got all these crazy fresh ideas. Tornadoes have been added to the editor, and suddenly everybody has tornadoes everywhere. But this is different. I've seen some silly tornado type tracks, which weren't even worth a mention here. But this particular track is just insane. This is the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, Kansas, freaking remastered. This thing is nuts. It's absolutely insane. Every single item that I'm jumping on, notice it all has its own physics. So when I jump on something, it moves. So how I land the bike actually dictates where the thing moves, and I guess eventually how I actually get off that thing onto the next platform. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of difficulty here getting from one to the other, but if you nail it just right, then you could actually speed through this entire thing. But I've already mentioned one of the other tracks before. I can't remember the name of it, but it also had this kind of floaty physics type setup. But I've never seen a track nail it like this without completely destroying my frame rate. This track is just so damn amazing. It's so well done. And that's not the only track that I found that is just that absolutely needs a mention here on the show. I mean, actually, today's show is pretty much like Adventures in Tits, where every damn track that I've checked out is like some crazy adventure style experience, and this stuff, it takes a lot of time to put this stuff together. And this one, for example, right, I've played lots of tracks that are like this. I think we all have this Alan Quatermain, Indiana Jones inspired type setup, right, with the fancy camera and everything. But if we look at the details, not just in the background and everything, but in the camera work, that's really important, because a lot of times when you play freaking tracks like this, the camera ends up going through going through a wall or something. So here we go. Right here, it's gonna go through a wall, but there's an opening. So he cut this stuff out so it doesn't feel like you're breaking, I guess breaking the fourth wall in a sense. It just feels like it's an action steady cam that's following your character around. That really pissed me off right there. It took me a lot of tries to nail this thing in one go. And I think after that, I was just like, fuck it! I'm just gonna run it and just see what happens. But honestly, there's a problem this week with Trials Evolution, with the marketplace and the tracks and all that stuff. And I think what it is that there's just a severe lack of shitty tracks. And I would be remiss to not, or to waste any time during this particular episode on a track that is just garbage, because, I mean, granted, they're fun. I love making fun of some of these tracks because some of them are hilariously bad, but really, there's just so much good stuff this week that I had to, eliminate certain tracks because some of them were just, hey, that track was good, this track is better. And then I came across this track, and this one, I think it's nailed something, but it hasn't quite expanded on it enough for me. This is a fantastic track, right? The first thing I thought, even before even loading the damn track, was Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, it's basically, and I'm completely oversimplifying here, it is Tony Hawk, pro skater, but with bikes. Okay, there we go. And it kind of pains me to say it that way because Matt Hoffman's such a talented BMX rider, but we just want to get the point across. Now, what you're looking at here is basically a speed run. It's got pegs on the wheels, right? I'm just kind of running through the whole thing, okay? And I think that the idea here is fantastic, really well executed track. The problem is it's not showing off what the core of these style of games are about, which is doing tricks. Now, yay, I got a platinum medal, okay? I'm up there on the leaderboards, but I don't care about that stuff. This kind of track deserves to be treated like this, with just 6 stalls, right? Into a manual, into a double peg, into a feeble. It deserves to be treated like like you would in like Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX, right? It's one of those things where I would love to see a track like this to be converted into a skill game, right? And you get points for doing stuff like this. Is that even a trick? I don't know if there's that a trick. Can you actually do a front side like manual hop like that on a peg? Is that even possible? It doesn't matter because in trials, of course, we try to keep things as realistic as possible, right, guys? Anyways, to get points for doing flips, for doing wheelies, manuals, bunny hops, little things like that, that would make this a track like this much more attractive. And that's why I think and that's one of the areas that I think the BMX, having the Gecko 520 in trials, can really expand it out into just a whole slew of just crazy skill games. Nothing's out yet, right? I haven't seen anything out yet, but I'm sure somebody out there is crazy enough to basically replicate maybe the entire Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX series in trials. And I would pay MSP for that. Honestly, I would throw some real fake money at somebody for making something like that. Then there's this thing, all right? This track, Trial Simulator _5, right, by BC23, was linked to me like 3 times as something that I should try out for Tets, right? I didn't quite get it at first. And then, so there's a bit of a meta thing going here, right? First, there was like this track that I felt like somebody with a very clear and distinct multiple fucking personality disorder, and each one kind of took its own like take on this track. Here we go. Look, now we're in a different area, and this happens like 50 times during this track. It's super long, but instead of just, you know, getting in there and just playing the track and just having a good time with it, he even says in in the description, really hard to zero fault, wink wink smiley face, right? No, fuck that shit. Yes, of course, I'm gonna play it 50 billion times to try to freaking get it, to try to get 0 faults. And it's a challenge. Why? Because it is a long track. It's too long to play the entire thing here, which is why I'm linking. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the annotations. If you haven't turned off, turn them on. I'm linking some of the full runs of some of these tracks because you guys have to see some of these things. But this is just nuts. Look, you're constantly going from one completely different like theme and everything to another. You're just going back and forth to all these crazy different themes, and each one of them is so well done. And just again, the fact that this track is so long, it takes you through so many different phases, it absolutely has to be mentioned here. Now, I did try to do this on the donkey, and I was able to I did pretty good on the donkey, to be honest. I wanted to see if it would be good for Willa Donkey, right? But it just seemed like it was a little too easy because I could just take my time to go through the whole thing. And it's like, that's not what Willa Donkey's for. Willa Donkey's all about me fucking hating myself for at least 3 hours a week.